All right, so today we'll be looking at the blues and something very similar to last week. I'm going to flip this back here. So within 2 weeks, we'll have the mapping system online for those of you that want to use it. It'll be an interesting tool. I'll show it. I'll review it with you probably in 2 weeks. We'll go over how to use it. If you have a color here and you want to find its complement, you just go across the axis and you'll see all the colors. You'll be able just to tap on it and it will open it up. It'll tell you about the color. It'll show you the drawdown. It'll keep a list of all the colors you look at. So you can look across to see the hue of the colors if you want. So it's a pretty interesting tool. So what I did here is similar to what we did last week. Last week, we looked at the reds. We kind of looked in this zone right here. Today, we're going to be looking at the blues in this area right here, in particular, more this area right here. And before we start, I just wanted to make sure when I talk and show you the colors I've picked them from using the C-Lab numbers. The C-Lab numbers are different than what you might see with your eye. For example, when we present these colors to the spectrophotometer, we do it in a 1 part paint to 10 parts water. If you were to mix in more water, you're going to get more light coming back, and the machine's going to give you a different number. So there's what your eye sees, and there's what the machine sees. And what I'm going to be showing today is what the machine sees. So you may say, well, when I see this particular color, I see blue. That absolutely may be correct. It probably is correct. I'm not saying that that isn't the way it is. I'm just showing you what the machine is saying a blue is what we'll be looking at today. Because as you approach out here, your eye can say, well, that's a blue, and yeah, it is, but it isn't when we're just looking at pure numbers. Okay.
John.
Yes.
Under normal circumstances, we think of color as having 3 primary colors, 3 primary sections, your yellow, your red, and your blue. But I can very definitely see from that image that there's a very green section. So would it be more appropriate to look at color as 4 sections rather than 3?
So it does look at, C-Lab does look in at least 4 sections, right? So you have the yellow, the blue, the red, and the green.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the red, this is the yellow, this is the green, and this is the blue.
Right.
And then your L value is coming out from this way right here. So yes, you're looking at all, you're going to be looking at 4 main quadrants.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right. So I picked some colors that are, obviously for me anyway, when I look at them, easy to see they're blue. And I picked some that are kind of like in this area up in here. And I will show you those when we get to them. I could finally see you. So hello, everybody on Facebook. I see Carol, Agnes, Sandy, Kimberly, Victoria. It's good to see you, Victoria. Dan, Reba, Anna, who's on both right now, Cheryl. So good to see all of you. I don't know, I have such a fight with
John, this is Stephanie. Are we going to have a list of all the blues again, like we did the reds?
yeah.
Yes.
Ethel, I sorry, you
Yeah.
posted on both sites. Thank you.
Welcome.
Mhm.
Here we go. There.
I'm going to voice a comment that we had on Facebook, a question from Kristen Clark asking, is this wheel, I assume, based on the light spectrum rather than the pigment one? So it seems like we'd like she's requesting a little bit more introduction to what the C-Lab is.
So to use the C-Lab, we use a spectrophotometer. And we use it on one of our drawdowns. And it gives us an A and a B. Gives us an A and a B. And it also gives us an L value, which is the light value. So pure black would be 0, pure white would be 100. And we list that on the site. You can find any color. You can find its L or light value. You can also find where it is on the X-axis, if you will, and on the Y-axis. So if we look at this one right here, blue apatite, it says -16 and -12. We would look and we go over -16, which would be in this area, and then down -12 is going to put it right kind of in this area right here. So I call that blue apatite. I call it a fringe color because it has the word blue in it. I think most people would pick it up and say it's a blue, but it's actually kind of, per the machine, it'd be right in this area right here.
John,
Yes.
when a printer, I know it's a completely different genre, but when a printer makes color, it uses magenta, a yellow, and cyan for its blue. What is the closest blue that you do to cyan?
So if you wanted to figure that out, you go to, there's just a huge amount of calculators online, and you could put in the C-Lab if you know that, and it will give you the RGB or the CYAN. It'll give you all the different other color tools. You will find that they'll shift. If you played with them back and forth, you'll see there's because they're trying to convert, there's some shifting going on. So for this right here, I'm not looking about how to mix them. I'm looking at the pigment within the paint and what spectrum it's giving off when using the spectrophotometer. If I were to mix a color, I could do the same thing and find out what that mix was, but this is just about what's in the particular tube. So this is probably, someone was asking before about the pigments, and probably one of the highest group of pigments used in industry are the phthalos. I believe there's 10, either thousands, I think I read tens of thousands of tons of phthalo used in industry. So it's just a unbelievably popular pigment. And most of the pigments are made for industry. We get the luxury of being able to use them, which is fantastic because they're absolutely beautiful. So this is phthalo blue, and this is the red shade. So it is a blue with a red shade. And this one is going to be the Mayan Blue Genuine. So you can see with the Mayan Blue Genuine, we can look at it together. It's a 17 and 14. So 17 and 14. It's kind of pushing out here into the green, and you can kind of see that a little bit. It's moving from the blue. It's starting to go over more toward the green. So this is Mayan dark blue. This is let's see, I keep on this. So Kristen, these are all based on the light spectrum. So it's pushing light, which is hitting the pigment, which is reflecting back to getting a reading on the machine. So it's really no different than this us as humans. We're doing it. We're looking at color. That color is being pushed back into our eyes, and then we're interpreting what it is we're seeing. So it's very similar. I'll tell you, those halos are just unbelievably loaded colors. So this is the phthalo blue. This is the green shade, phthalo blue green shade.
And phthalo blue green shade comes in a stick.
Can you show them that, Gabriel? That's phthalo blue turquoise. And this is my favorite color. This is the ultramarine blue.
Ultramarine blue also comes in a stick.
John, it's Barbara here. Have you seen that new blue color that is very, very expensive? Have you seen it like in real life?
That one.
Yin Min, okay.
So yes, seen it, made it. How impressive it is, though.
What?
I said, I don't know how impressive it is, however. Certainly from a industry standpoint, it has some really cool characteristics. It has a super high heat point. So this is it right here.
Uh-huh.
So we test everything that we can find coming out. We have contacts with all the pigment manufacturers. So we test it, but many times there's not a whole lot of difference between what comes out as new and what we already have. But this is the,
Right.
I mean, it's kind of pretty, but the cost just, cost is over the top.
Does it have a name?
That's the name.
Yin Min blue.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're
You have
welcome.
so many gorgeous blues already, just was curious because I wanted to know. And I see it now.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. We'd actually, if we came out with this color, this is what we would call it. And the reason this is why we would call it is it's a single pigment made by a manufacturer. And we always, if it's a single pigment, we call it by the person that created it. So Oregon, I believe it was Oregon State that created it, not Oregon University, Oregon State. This is what they called it. This is what we would call it.
Right.
Don't forget to put it back in safe, John.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget to put it back in the safe.
Yeah. Yeah, we bought a little tiny bit of like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 grams of the material just to be able to make it.
Well, I think it's not as exciting certainly as the ultramarine is. I mean, ultramarine is such a stunning color, as are the others.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
manufacturers would look at it and say, because they're not going to look at it necessarily from a color standpoint. They're going to say, wow, that's a cool kind of blue, and it can take, 600 to 800 degrees. What can we do with that? We're not going to put
Right.
anything. We're not going to put anything near that heat. You would just denature, your artwork. So I think it's kind of what like Ford and Chevy do as well. Thank goodness they do it. They have these pigments that can take salt and sunlight and everything else. And it's just great when we can use those as well.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're very welcome. Pleasure. Somebody asked me, so I'll do it one more time. This right here is the phthalo blue red shade. This one right here is the Mayan blue genuine. This is the Mayan dark blue. This is the phthalo blue green shade. Phthalo blue turquoise. Ultramarine. And this is the, how would you say that? Yinmin blue. Put this on here, so we'll keep on going.
John, I was just wondering why iridescent electric blue didn't make the cut today.
So that's a super, super good question. The iridescent electric blue, it certainly is blue. We look at it, it's blue. And what I did is I used the C-Lab color map. So from the C-Lab color map, the reason it didn't make it is it gives off so much light that it won't make this. That's the difference between this beautiful thing that we have behind our eyes, which is this awesome computer we have, versus a machine. The machine says, wow, this is reflecting back so much light, I can't even interpret what it is. So very good question. It should be on here today.
Yeah, because it's a new stick.
Yeah, excellent. You are right on the money there.
John, I'm noticing on the list, Imperial Purple.
Yeah, some of them were fringe colors, Ian. They were like kind of right on the fringe. And so I just put them on. But I can show you why I put it on there. In fact,
John,
I'll do it when I do the Imperial Purple, which I have right here. I'm going to be brushing it out, and then I'll show you why I did it. I think someone was going to ask a question. I'm here yet.
John, what is the difference between the phthalo blue red shade and the ultramarine? Because I know I'm seeing a difference there, but I'm trying to determine whether I need the phthalo blue red shade in my palette.
So
They look very, very similar.
They're actually, they might be on the screen, but they're not here in front of me. Hey, Giovanni or Gabriel, can you put do you have the phthalo blue red shade and the ultramarine? Because if not, I'll do it. Do you have
Yes,
those
I
two?
do.
Didn't you paint that at the beginning, John?
I did, but I'd like to have them show you side by
Oh,
side.
okay. Got it.
That way
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Got it.
easier
Okay.
to see.
Okay.
I thought one was enanthrum blue.
So the first one is just the phthalo blue red shade. Then the question is on the ultramarine. You might actually do the ultramarine if you have it, the French marine as well. So all three.
Yes, I have them in stick.
So here on my paper that I'm looking at, they're you would see the difference really quickly.
Okay.
That's not always easy with these screens.
Yeah.
That's a beauty.
Yes,
Ooh.
it's the Prussian blue. It is just a really
Oh.
pretty blue. And then we have, and for me, this is a toss up because I think you as artists can see the difference quite readily. I will say I can see it on paper, a little harder to see with my eyeballs. This is French ultramarine, which to me is very, very close to the ultramarine. You might see more of a slighter reddish tint to it when you're at home and doing in your studio.
Definitely warmer.
Yes. And this last one, Ian, is the Imperial Purple.
I mean, that to me looks like a completely different
Yeah,
color.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so let me tell you why I put it there. Let's see.
Is it made with ultramarine?
So the Imperial Purple is minus 21 and minus 34. So minus 21 and minus 34 puts it right about there,
Wow.
right on
Very
the
in the
right on
blue
the
area.
edge of kind of the blue right
Yeah.
there. So again, it's what the machine sees versus if I saw that, I'd be right there with you saying, well, that's not a blue. What the machine is pushing back is right on the fringe.
There's a beautiful comment, John, about ultramarine and talos from Caroline. This is from Facebook. So Caroline says talos are staining and ultramarine is not. Talos are dynamic when you just want pure, rich blue, but ultramarine can be so subtle. It's a choice, but both have their special uses.
Yeah, that's really nice, Carolyn. And then Nancy also puts ultramarines granulate. That's very true. Ultramarines also granulate. The phthalos, I'm always amazed when you as artists, especially when you're using the phthalos. And then when we have an artist on Friday that has, 1, 2, or 3 of the phthalos, I'm always kind of awestruck to watch them use it because they're just so strong. And I just love watching how they can kind of make them behave because my God, they're like the wild child.
They have to be tamed.
So this is the Prussian, and then this was the French, very pretty, and this is the Imperial Purple. And then Gabriel and Giovanni are showing you that there I see Giovanni's and I see Gabriel's. So
Yes,
I see the difference now.
These here now. These two on the ends, we got French ultramarine, and we've got ultramarine,
I like that idea.
and we've got phthalo blue red shade.
very nice.
I see the difference now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
blue, red shade, and ultramarine blue. Perfect connection.
Awesome. Yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to see on these screens.
Do we have indigo in the selection?
So Carolyn says, beyond the cool of French ultramarine, my favorite warm blue is manganese blue U. And so I will do that as the first color we look at next. So one question that Carolyn asked and Raffaele just asked me is, how do we pick the color for sets? For example, the pan sets. Do I pick them? And I do not pick them. I come up with new product that I want to bring out, for example, whether it's sticks or it's powdered paint, etc. And for the sets, both Ron, this is what Ron has to say. Ron is my chemist. And the big input, however, is in meeting with artists all over the world. For example, if you listen to Carolyn talk, what she says almost all the time, which I always love, is my students. And I love talking to you as artists when you're able to look through your eyes, through the eyes of your students. Because to me, that's kind of, you know, it's I can't make product for a person. What I'm trying to do is how can I provide a tool to the most amount of people? And one of the ways that I'm always helped in that is when I have teachers talk about their experiences and the experiences of their students. So that's kind of what I look for, is hearing that feedback constantly back from you. That's why I love doing these on Thursdays and Fridays, and also when I meet with you. That's what drives how we make sets, etc. Never perfect when you're picking 6 colors or 12 colors out of 263. You know, something's got to give. But I'm always so appreciative of your input and your ideas and your expertise. So let's look at manganese blue U. Look at cerulean.
John,
Yes.
when you're doing these analysis with watercolors, is there any difference when you do it with the new gouache that's coming out, or is it exactly the same results?
No, the result's going to be different between the, so it's going to be, there's, how do I put this? It's not going to be the same when it comes to the photospectrophotometer, right? Because what that machine is doing, it's pushing back. So this is my first color. Change that. It's pushing back how much light comes back, and the gouache is going to be unbelievably opaque. So with the gouache, so the gouache is a water media, not a watercolor. Yeah. It has the same pigment, it has the same binder. It's just going to be way more pigment compared to the watercolor. Mm-hmm. The gouache is not going to be, for example, granulating. Yeah. You can make it granulating. If you add water to it, you can wash it down to make it granulating. But that's not the way gouaches were intended to be used.
Yeah. Flat washing, John.
So it's going to be different in that aspect, Ian. So if we have ultramarine blue, and we compare ultramarine blue, which we have in both, it's beautiful in both.
Yeah.
One can be granulating, the other one's not going to be granulating. It's just a huge amount of pigment. You could wet it down. My question would be, why would you do that? It'd be better just to buy the ultramarine blue and watercolor. Well, we're going to go over that. I will have all of the colors, and we will play with all of the colors just so you can see them.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, John, the gouache is going to be gum Arabic based rather than the gouaches I've seen that are acrylic based and darn near impossible to use once they're dry.
Yes, our gouache are going to be exactly the same as the watercolor.
Isn't that a good idea?
They have the same binder, the same exact pigment. They're just going to have a whole lot more pigment in order to make them opaque.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I like that because then it's not going to be too hard on my brushes.
No, no. God, that's pretty. Okay.
John?
Yeah.
I've heard people say that, what is it? Sorry, ultramarine blue and cobalt blue are closely aligned. And in a similar way, phthalo blue and cerulean are closely aligned. Do you know whether that is particularly true or?
I think that would depend on Ian what they're talking about closely aligned. How they look, probably there's
Possibly how they look, because I don't think they're the same pigment, are they?
no, they're not the same pigment.
No.
Absolutely not. So they have different characteristics from that standpoint. And Carolyn or Giovanni or Gabriel or Anna or Mark or so Anna, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
It may be that the interpretation is that two of them are going on the warm side, so they mix well to create the purples, and the cerulean and the phthalo are on the cool side, so they mix well to make the greens. That may be what you're understanding or hearing what they're trying to say.
Quite possible that, yeah, because they do align in that kind of way, don't
I do not believe they look so similar. For me, they
And
look very different.
And they behave so differently.
And yes, that's yes, but also the phthalo is much stronger, and cerulean is softer color.
So Ian, thank you, everybody. Carolyn says, this is because two are considered red-based blues and the other two are considered to be yellow-based blues. So similar to what Anna was saying.
So it's about bias towards a particular color. That also could be quite true, yeah.
Also, I would say that when you get back, when we talk about the phthalos and the red shade and the green shade, it really makes a difference in the mixing.
Yeah.
So that if you mix a red shade phthalo with a red, you're going to get a far different purple than you would if you mix a green shade phthalo with that red.
Well, I believe Buffy's just said that, I'll quote, it says phthalo blue is incredibly staining, while cerulean blue is it liftable? Yes, that's it, liftable. So that's another thing that's probably is that something that we're looking at tonight, liftability and staining?
I think it's good to know the blues that are staining, because often if they're staining, they're very high tinting, meaning that they'll take over a mix. So if you're painting something and you add like a phthalo blue, it could take over your whole wash. And
blue can be very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
They mix very quickly to black.
Yeah.
They really need to be tamed, but they're beautiful mixers and they make the best darks.
Yes, agreed.
The tailors.
Agreed.
John, is there a reason why you wouldn't be putting Payne's grey in there as a blue?
You know, I the Payne's gray, I'll show you. The Payne's gray and the Payne's blue gray are going to kind of be up in this area.
Man,
So yeah, you can
neutralize
say that. I mean, there's be nothing wrong with you saying that's what I see with my eyes. But from what I'm doing today in terms of using the mapping tool, you'd actually see them up in this area right here. It's why I put this one right here, which is the apatite.
Mhm.
Blue apatite. I mean, it has the word blue in it. 16 and 12, 16 and 12 is kind of right in this area right here.
Mhm.
And you can see most people would say, well, that's probably, I mean, some would say that's a blue and some would say, well, but the Payne's is even going to be more up in this area, right? Even higher in that kind of that gray. We're going to go to gray as we go into this area right in here.
So that very center bullseye is totally neutral.
Yeah, it's more, yeah. Just imagine it's a sphere, right? Right. It's a sphere. It has 3 dimensions to it. But yes, in the core is where you're going to see the kind of the gray. So here, what I have is I have the one that Carolyn was talking about the manganese blue U. This is the manganese blue U. This one is the cerulean blue. This one is a cerulean blue chromium. This one is the cobalt blue. This one is the cobalt blue violet. And this is the green. This is the blue apatite. I always think it's neat how many colors are within the cobalts. There's just so many different colors in the cobalts.
Angela, those mixes are beautiful.
Yeah, that is neat. Oh, Giovanni, yours and Angela's are beautiful.
John, I've got another question here.
Yeah.
Is there a very staining brown that would go with the very staining phthalo blue that would make a very staining dark that could work as an underpainting that wouldn't mess up lighter washes over? If one wanted to do a Grisal type of approach.
Can you ask that one more time, and I'll see if one of the artists watching can answer that for you.
Okay, is there a very staining brown that would complement, or orange basically, colors that would go opposite the phthalo blue green shade that one could mix a very staining black/gray that could work as a grisaille if one wanted to do that kind of effect and then wash over it with the rest of the painting?
Have you thought about Van Dyke brown?
I don't know. Is it? Oh, it's
So
dark. But
so Carolyn says burnt sienna and phthalo blue will do this.
Okay. Phthalo blue green shade.
I'll ask her. So Carolyn, is that phthalo blue green shade or red
I
shade?
see if
I don't believe any one of the browns are truly staining like the phthalos.
Yes.
You might be
I wonder
looking
what
at
would be
like
the closest.
More like a very deep brown that's
Yeah.
leaning toward, sorry, a very deep red that's leaning towards brown.
Yeah, I see.
My guess
like,
would be a red.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like a what?
red.
Red,
which-
rouge.
But I thought that Gabriel said something specific. No. Permanent red.
One of PR 101s. That's pigment number, obviously.
Is Pigment Red 101 staining though?
Yeah, but it don't need to be that element of it. It's the blue that will probably do the staining.
Well, no, because I don't want it to separate and wash out. I see that permanent brown is a very dark red brown that is a number 3 on the staining part of it. So maybe that's a key.
Maybe,
How about a maroon?
yeah, Perylene maroon, I think would be quite
Yeah.
staining too. It's
Yeah.
nice and dark.
Well, it's certainly something to spend money on. Yeah. You know, it's always
Perylene maroon.
always fun.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to share that there are times where I might not have the tube with me, but I will have a stick. And especially, I took a trip just last week, so I had all the sticks with me, and I was able to just take my palette right here and put some paint down, like so, and then I would just add as much water for whatever wash I needed. Just like so.
Another thing you could look at, if you want it to stain more, is using obviously a cotton paper that doesn't have a very high amount of what they
Well,
call it?
yeah, but no. Don't want to mess with the paper. I just want a pigment solution, and I think maybe that permanent brown may be it, and I'm going to run a test on it.
I've never
I
seen
think.
you say using browns. Usually are the staining, the reds and the blues and the yellows.
Right. I want more of a gray. And so that's why I'm trying to balance. And I have a pretty good solution with phthalo blue and a different kind of brown. Roasted French ochre, I think is what it is. I wanted to see if somebody else had something.
They also, I believe the ochres are also granulating.
That's a plus. Yeah.
There's something called a dead layer. That's what oil painters use to get the initial values down onto the first layer. It's just like coloring the surface.
So these are the remaining blues. This is the Verditor blue.
Oh.
Check that.
Which is my favorite color. That
Verditor blue. This is the Danthron blue. This is the lapis lazuli. The carbazole violet, and this is lunar blue. Kind of block out that.
Is the lapis lazuli the color that inspired ultramarine?
Yes, lapis lazuli is the original ultramarine. It was just back in the day. It was, I know, its price was the same as gold, and it was. It showed what it showed in paintings was the person that did this had unbelievable wealth. It was usually the church. It was somebody that was very, very rich, or it was a country. And so there was a contest of who could come up with a synthetic, and about the same time, they came out with both the ultramarine and the French ultramarine, and the ultramarine won, but it should have been the French that won because they actually had it first. But you know, politics are politics. So, but they're beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Can we see what Angela's been working on with blues? Angela Barbie.
Put her center screen.
Yeah,
Can you put her center screen?
yeah, it's on the screen.
All right.
Let me take out the rest.
Yeah.
There you go. Oops.
Oops, where's the echo?
Oh. Yeah, echo.
Angela, I just click on unmute. There, if you could help unmute.
Is that okay?
There's
No.
echo. It's being picked up by the other camera.
Okay?
Yeah.
No?
Thank you. It's okay now.
No, just a moment.
Oops.
You got two microphones, haven't you? Makes my singing a lot better as well.
It's okay now.
Do you have something to show, Mark?
Is okay?
Yeah, all good now.
Okay, perfect. Well, the last color I've been working on is this, the last color I've put on is this, one of my favorites, which is lunar blue. The lunar blue is belongs to the lunar family, and it is very granulating. It's starting to granulate. I don't know why, but I always look for granulation. I like this effect. And this is the manganese blue, which is also very beautiful. This is another gorgeous color, the blue apatite mixed with the Mayan blue genuine. And of course, all the strongest one is in the throne. And here I want to, you see how granulating the ultramarine is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And this
That's
is
beautiful.
the Mayan blue genuine, also granulating. And the combination is really nice. And this, of course, some phthalos, some ultramarine phthalo, some phthalo blue-green shade, and the baby blue of the lapis lazuli. And there are some other colors in between, but they are all gorgeous. You can make full composition just in blues.
Very pretty.
That's beautiful, Angela. It looks
Very
like,
nice.
oh, it
This
looks
one
like
is
light
very
shining.
green here, but on the screen it appears blue. This is the turquoise, the ultramarine turquoise. But anyway, it looks beautiful as well, doesn't it?
Angela, which is
Yes.
your favorite blue of those?
My favorite, I thought it was ultramarine, but I don't know now. Yeah, I will say ultramarine. Let's say French ultramarine. Yes. Yes, I like that.
When you say the lunar family, are you referring to Nicholas Lopez?
That's the Lopez family. Yes. No, I mean the lunar black, lunar blue, lunar violet, all these lunars are very...
Oh.
Also Lopez, Nicolas also uses all those colors. That's true, because he's in love with the lunars as well. There are quite a few lunars and they are spectacular. This is almost a seascape. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Almost a seascape. Yeah. We'll see what happens when they are dry. I should paint some beach here. I will paint an ochre.
Angela, on the one on the left, you have some indigo up there on the right side?
On the right side, this one?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, that is Mayan, Mayan blue.
Oh, really?
Mayan dark
Okay.
blue.
Oh,
Mayan
dark blue. Okay. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that color. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
So Carol
Can we
asked a
see?
question, and it was, where does kyanite fall? So I wanted to show you kind of where kyanite falls. And this would be kyanite would be right, kyanite would be right in here. So these are, anybody can see blue, and kyanite would be right up in here. And sodalite, when I've got sodalite's up in here. Here's the origin right here, be right up in here. So the mapping tool will be available in about 2 weeks, and before I put it online, I'll show it to you so we can play with it. And I think you'll like it. It's pretty interesting. You'll be able to click on, you'll see all the colors. You'll be able to click on any color you want. It'll bring it up. it'll tell you about the color. It'll show it to you. You can say, you know, show me the other yellows. It'll actually put them in a list. You can look across and see the different variances of the colors. And then as we learn from it, I can make changes to it. Let me put it a different way. I can have the phenomenal programmers make changes to it because they're very good at that.
John,
Yes.
that image you're showing us now, I'm
Yes.
noticing as you get farther away from the center, the more vibrant the color is.
Yeah, because in the center you're going to have grays, and grays just
It'll
start
be
vibrant.
gray.
Yeah, right in here you're
So
going to.
is it correct to consider that vibrant? Is it a measurement of vibrance?
So,
or hue saturation?
So your lightness is going to be a different scale on this, right? It's that right there is going to be the light factor, right? And that goes from 0 to 100. So we can say the grays are going to be in here. They're going to be in the 48 to 51 area in here. If you had a Hansa yellow, for example, it's going to be way up in here in terms of an L value. It's going to be close to 197, 98. Your luminescence are going to be 100. They're going to be off the chart. If you have lamp black's going to be probably down here in the very low 30s, for example. So the lower down here, you get we don't have any absolute black. So let's see. I would say you're going to get more of your bluer blues going down, going this way. You get more of your more yellows going this way. Your hands, etc., are going to be up here. I don't know if I would say that's vibrancy or not.
Just shows how human eye, obviously that's how reality is, but how human eye adapts so that we can
I would say
understand.
if you and I were talking, I would say that, right? But when you're for this right here, it would be an arbitrary word that wouldn't be used in this context right here. It would be if we were talking. Again, that's just looking at what this machine is doing versus what our machine behind our eyes does. We can talk about words and they would have absolutely the same meaning to you and I, whereas not when it comes to this, right? It's just different.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
I think what we're also discussing, what Ian is talking about, is starting to go into the realm of biology, because what you're asking is what colors activate the cones in the eye with most intensity, and that's something that is not going to be measured by a machine. That's talking about biology and how it's being activated in the back of the eyeball, and then how is that translated to the brain.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So color is so exciting this way. Yeah. It's so complex.
So that's really having a conversation among people versus what the machine is going to spit out. It's not going to care about that.
There was some really fascinating reading on a similar subject by the scientist John Herschel, who discovered color blindness with the different cones, the different setup in people's eyes. That's why we all see slightly different things.
Now there's cool glasses that take that away, which is just awesome.
Like a neutralizer.
Awesome. Okay, so that was it for the blues. As we go around, I think next time we'll go ahead and we'll look at the greens, and then we'll look at the yellows. So if there's something, I tried to also show you ones that were a little bit off, either just close, but a little bit off. I think that's always good. And as Ian was saying, as Anna was saying, as most of you say, and you're right, there's differences of what we see with our eyes versus what we're going to see with the machine. So we may look in Sleeping Beauty and say, oh, that's definitely a blue. And it definitely is a blue when you're looking at it with your eyes. It's not necessarily when we're looking at it with the machine. And I just wanted to make sure that you had both aspects. So that way, for any of you that want to look at the mapping tool, it becomes much easier to use it. But both are correct. It's the better machine is actually the one behind our eyes. But this is the one I use for the mapping. So with that, yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. I think we have a marvelous artist tomorrow. I think you'll enjoy him very, very much.
His blues are cool.
So thank you for taking part. Any of you, I didn't ask you, Buffy, any of you that want to show your work that you may be doing, glad to put you on center screen. That's what I really like about doing these live. And thank you for everybody on Facebook as well. I tried to keep up on your emails or your messages. So thank you, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.